Hi Beam teachers, welcome in. We appreciate everything you are doing. So let me run through chapter 2 here with a brief overview of what to expect so you can get started here on the right foot. Inside Google Classroom, you'll notice we have some directions for this ATL assignment, and this transfers over between middle school and high school. So if middle school teachers, if you see me up here in the high school, don't worry, this is all the same. So you'll notice there are pretty much 3 ways you can submit your work. One of them is typing your answers and your responses straight into Google Classroom. And the second option is to print out those papers, write on them, scan them back in. And a third option is to go to Flipgrid and do your reflections through Flipgrid. Remember, it's either one or the other, not Google Classroom and Flipgrid. It's either choose Google Classroom or Flipgrid to give us your reflections. So here we go. Let's say you click on this assignment. Let's see what is ahead here. So again, middle school teachers, I'm using a high school document, and a lot of this transfers over. So this applies to both of us. You'll notice in the Google Doc at the top, we put check boxes just so you can have a preview of what to expect for this chapter. And you'll also notice the Google Classroom icon with the 3 red arrows reminding us all there's something you got to do in ATL 2.2. You got to write down some work, solve a problem, and scan that back in. Everybody in every chapter has to use Flipgrid for research and equity in terms of reflecting, and I'll talk more about that in a few seconds. Okay, so Chapter 2 overview for both middle school and high school is establishing mathematics goals to focus learning. Let's keep in mind, right, we're all in different places on our journey here, and so some of us, we've been writing a lot of learning goals, and this chapter is going to be great to push your thinking forward and continue to do that. Some of us, maybe learning goals is a little bit newer or whatever. Wherever you are on your journey, you're going to read this and you might have some transformational reading opportunities to be like, wow, I never thought of learning goals that way. So wherever you are, there's a lot of great stuff packed into Chapter 2. Let's go into 2.1 here. You'll see what the flow is. You'll read these pages. You'll reflect on ATL 2.1. You can do that again either here in Google Classroom in this box or go to Flipgrid and reflect. Your choice. Now, I want to point out here, do this. Read and reflect here in the Google Classroom. Do that first. Then go back to your book. And you'll notice there's this analysis piece to 2.1. And so we put analysis in here for you so that you can read the book and then come back to it and say like, wow, maybe I had something that I more clearly understand now, or a revelation after reading the analysis. So it's good to have that time to reflect inside the Google Doc and then see what the Taking Actions book has in the analysis. Let's head over to 2.2. You'll notice there's the Google Classroom icon to remind you all, hey, I got to solve this task, and then I'm going to scan in that work or whatever, get that work into Google Classroom, scan it, take a picture of it, whatever you do to do that. You'll also notice in 2.2 there's a video clip to read and another opportunity to reflect. And if I haven't said this, so I want to point out here that everything that's in your book, we transferred over to the Google Doc in terms of what to read, what to watch, and the questions to reflect on. All right, so there's another opportunity for you to read and reflect here in the Google Classroom. Then go back to your book and read that analysis for 2.2. Okay, so every chapter ends with the research, the equity, and the key messages. And so here we see the Flipgrid icon. What we would love for you to do is that text render activity we did at our launch. So let me remind you what that is. You would pick a sentence and a phrase and a word from that section you read. So since there are 2 sections here essentially, there's the research and the equity section, we gave you 2 minutes inside the Flipgrid assignment. So take about a minute to reflect on the research and its connections to learning goals. Take a minute to reflect on the equity and its connections to your learning goals. All right, now, when you do that, that's great. We're gonna have a grid full of Flipgrid videos. So remind yourself to listen to at least one other colleague's response and add a comment. Okay. So this has been a lot. I know. Feel free to rewind and go back and see any information that you might have missed. And as always, if you have any questions, reach out to Crystal or me. Thank you everybody for all you're doing. We're really excited you're here.